philosophy is written in a great book that stands constantly open before our eyes. I call it the universe, but which cannot be understood without first learning to comprehend the language and interpret the characters with which it is written. It is written in the language of mathematics, and its characters are triangles, circles, and other geometrical figures, without which it is humanly impossible to understand the meaning. Without these, one wanders pointlessly in a dark labyrinth. My biographers claim that I am the father of modern science. I leave this certitude to them, and content myself as the father of 3 children. Certitude, you know, is always a big problem, especially for a philosopher like me who is also a physicist, mathematician, and astronomer. One must constantly prove the certitudes of the ideas proposed, and the results achieved. And when proof is evident, you are so confident of your ideas, that to defend them in my day, I'm talking about the 1600s, you ended up before the Holy Inquisition, and were condemned to exile, as it happened to me. If I hadn't recanted my certitude that the earth moves, and the sun stands still, and that there are many worlds, the inquisitors would have gladly burned me alive in Rome's Campo dei Fiori, just as they did with Giordano Bruno. To be honest, the accusations against me were not so unfounded from their point of view. They claimed that my way of philosophizing tended to upset the heavens and earth, as well as the entire universe. Not knowing my story very well, some will want to have a better understanding of the observations I made with a telescope, or of the experiments I conducted on the movement of bodies before being exiled by the Inquisition. Do I look like a dangerous subversive? I see some of you look doubtful. Not knowing my story very well, some will want to have a better understanding of the observations I made with a telescope, or the experiments I conducted on the movement of bodies before being exiled by the Inquisition. Others will want to know if the legend is true about my climbing to the top of the Leaning Tower of Pisa to do an experiment on falling bodies. Still others will want to see with their own eyes the swinging lamp in the cathedral that I stared at for a month, mesmerized, until I realized the nature of its oscillations and invented the pendulum mechanism that regulates clocks. Someone else will want to point my first telescope at the starry sky, the telescope I had sent from Holland and then modified so I could present it to the Senate of Venice, christening it with the name of Perspicillum. At that time, after having taught in Pisa, I was teaching in Padua, where you can still see my old desk today. In Venice, I have long studied the phenomenon of high water. To satisfy your curiosity on these and many other scientific and astronomical phenomena, all you need to do is to get out your carry-on bag, without forgetting your tablet battery, and take the first flight to Florence, where I'll be waiting for you at Il Gioiello, the Jewel, and my villa in Arcetri, to satisfy your craving for knowledge. Yes, this is the villa where I was exiled. It is set at the top of a hill with a beautiful view of Florence that was breathtaking even for a fossilized and indifferent inquisitor. The first thing you will see coming to the villa is the white dome of the Astrophysical Observatory. Suddenly you will feel as if you've been thrown into the future, having arrived at our International Center of Excellence for the Study of Solar Physics. galactic and extragalactic astronomy, and the development of advanced technologies. I would never have imagined that the lenses for the Large Binocular Telescope on Mount Graham in Arizona, capable of observing the sky at incredible distances, would be designed and manufactured in Archetri, where in my day I did my stargazing with a small and rudimentary telescope. Yet, without my rudimentary telescope, the Perspicillum, I wouldn't have been able to observe the supernova that appeared in the sky in the fall of 1604. That telescope is now kept at the Museum of Science, which is named after me. The museum is located in the center of Florence, near the Uffizi Gallery and the Arno River, among the masterpieces of the Renaissance, where this time you will instead take a journey back in time, using the scientific instruments I created. The most curious one is certainly the thermoscope, a kind of primitive thermometer. By seeing, studying and using these tools, the evolution of scientific activity will become clearer to you. If you come to Archetri, as I'm sure you will, you can spend a few days immersed in the wonderful Tuscan countryside that surrounds the ancient library, in which manuscripts and diaries of astronomers from the past are preserved, along with hundreds of books on astronomy that were written specifically for children, young people, and amateur astronomers. The children's come to Archetri to learn how to read the sky. At Archetri, there are so many other things to see and talk about that will make you even more excited about science. But do not expect any lessons from me. Your stay in Archetri will not be like going to school. You won't have to do any homework. You will simply have the possibility of seeing and understanding how science was a part of my life, and how the scientific discoveries of the time are the basis of your life. Always remember that you cannot teach a man anything, you can only help him discover something within himself. That's what I've tried to do during all these centuries, never leaving my exile. You will rarely see me around the villa, much less in Archetri. Despite my age and my title as the father of modern science, I am still too busy to leaf through the great book which stands continually open before our eyes, and which I still call the universe. It is a book I invite you to read together with me.